What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction here. We're doing a special episode based on the Hey Internet Horror Here tag started by Hey Internet Eric here. We were tagged by the wonderful reviewer, Lady Shasha, from the channel What Did I Just Watch? So I want to thank her for putting us on this. And so I'm going to be cutting in between me and Danny. If you've never heard of our channel before, it's called the HorrorDeconstruction, hosted by myself, Comp, and Danny, and our sometimes third co-host, Thea. Bizarre humor springboarded by watching horror films, and sometimes we do analytical and thoughtful discussions on horror films, but most likely you will probably hear us saying something stupid. Either way, I want to thank everyone for listening to our channel, and if you haven't heard it, just give it a watch. We've been here for 10 years and we're just as obscure as anybody can be. First question: scariest slasher character? Mahogany from Midnight Meat Train. It's a character that he looks a bit normal. He's just this guy who's a butcher by day and a human butcher by night in the train. But there's just something about that character. The more and more I go back to that film by Ruhei Kutsumura. Terrible name for a movie, but it is based on a short story, so they couldn't do anything about it. I just like the name Mahogany. I just like the way he acts in the film. I like that character. There's something interesting about him.
Okay, so it's Danny here. Alright, I'm going to answer these questions. Alright, so question one, scariest slasher character, and I mean, this is a really, really hard question, but off the top of my head, I said Candyman, because he does definitely come off like a lot more serious than a lot of them do, so yeah, Candyman.
Worst sequel in a franchise. I would have said something out of the Saw films, but like Spiral specifically, because that's a horrible movie, but there's nothing that could beat, for me right this moment, was Hellraiser Judgment. Now, I haven't seen all the Hellraiser films, but I can for sure say Hellraiser Judgment is one of the worst movies I ever see. It's unbelievable how bad that movie is. And I know that there's even worse ones than that one, which is like, I can't imagine sitting through that whole franchise, because I know it just goes right to the trash can. But Hellraiser Judgment is unbelievably terrible, and it's just like unnecessary. It feels like it was a different movie, and then they just put Pinhead in it, which I think is what they do with all of them. But yeah, that movie's awful.
Worst sequel in a franchise, and this one was very easy. Cult of Chucky. I fucking hate everything about it.
A horror movie you wished more people talked about? I gotta say, and I probably will be putting a lot more runners up in this, because I just tend to babble on in the podcast, if you noticed. But A Cult by Koji Shiraishi. He directed films like Noroi, which is pretty big for the J-horror scene. A lot of people like that. It's a found footage, but it's a found footage that actually works. This too is also a found footage film. A Cult is about this documentarian. They're all a lot of his found footage films are pretty similar, but it's a movie about an incident, a stabbing incident that happens at this mountainous area in Japan, and these survivors come together and they start interviewing this one dude who believes that a force from another dimension is speaking to him, because he has a big sort of role to fill in the future of the world, and it's a really disturbing film. It has the last 2 minutes are the worst. It's like it was almost like a joke on people, but I still say please watch that movie. It's fantastic. But there's some special effects at the end that's unbelievably awful. But it's an incredible film, and I love that movie. So, A Cult by Koji Shiraishi.
All right, 3. A horror movie you wish more people talked about, and I said Lighthouse because I don't really know many people that have even seen it. And also, I had to say, too, House That Jack Built, because I only just saw it for the first time recently, and it's fucking amazing. So, yeah, everyone should see that.
The horror movie remake that you prefer over the original? Well, I would have said The Fly, because I think that's a pretty much perfect horror film. But I did not see the original Fly, so I cannot say that. But I'm really in between two films. One of them, people will probably go berserk. Well, maybe people will go berserk over the answers of both of these. But The House on Haunted Hill, I really enjoy that remake. In a cheesy way, but there was something really fun about it. But the big one has to be, oh boy, here comes. Hold your shorts. I really like the remake of Suspiria, and I really liked it. And it's not because I'm trying to be some sort of art snob, but that movie really spoke to me. There was just something about it that was really beautifully made. The acting is incredible. The finale is fantastic. It's more coherent than the original one, and I'm fine with watching incoherent horror films. Like, that's what we do here. But there's just something about that remake that really spoke to me, and I thought it was a gorgeous film altogether, and it felt like an actual movie. Not to say that the original one didn't. I just got to think that remake is just stunning. It's just a beautiful film.
Okay, for a horror remake that you prefer over the original, and I don't know if this is like blasphemous or whatever, but I do actually prefer the Night of the Living Dead from the 1990s version better. I guess probably just because I grew up with it more or whatever, but I don't know. I've seen them both a million times. I like that one better.
A horror movie that didn't live up to this hype. I'm not a hard to please person, but there's a lot of movies like that, and I would agree that I believe that Terrifier was just in, incredibly pedestrian. It's like supposed to be a slasher film, but and Art the Clown is a great character design. He's just, and the actor portraying him is fantastic. But it feels like he walked out of a really good, like he was late for the train for his good movie, and he ended up being in this movie. And then they were just like the part where he comes around nude with the wig on, or the woman's scalp on his head, and it was just like, it feels like it was trying to be edgy. It just felt like so cheaply done, and it's good to have people interested in horror films. This one just didn't work for me, and I'm watching the trailer for the sequel, and it looks just as cheap as the first one. It's just like they didn't know how to fucking point a camera at something, which sucks because that character deserves a lot better than the movies that he's in.
A horror movie that didn't live up to the hype. This is hard because there's a lot of them, but I said Don't Breathe because that's what came into my head first. I just feel like people talk about it a lot and they're excited for the sequel, and I don't know, it was just really generic to me. I didn't really get the big deal.
Okay, so a favorite horror animal. I will have to say Beast from The Hills Have Eyes remake by Alexander Aja. What a surprise that movie was. I hadn't seen the original one, and I remember watching it, and I couldn't believe how brutal the movie was. I was not expecting the movie to be as brutal as it was, and then to have this awesome dog come in and kick some ass. That dog was dope, yo. Beast is a great animal character, and it beats the shit out of everybody.
Favorite horror animal, and I took it as you meant like a good animal and not like a villain, like Church and Pet Cemetery. So I said Gizmo, because I guess he is technically an animal.
All right, favorite horror book. I read a lot of horror books. I like to read a lot of shocking horror novels because I must be mentally disturbed or something. My favorite, that is the best of the best to me, is Endurance by J.A. Conrath, or he might be using his name Jack Kilborn. He does these interesting horror novels that have intersecting characters and stuff like that. But Endurance is about a group of people that have all gathered for a triathlons or somewhere where people run and do all types of stuff, and it's all these different characters. And the film, obviously, the name Endurance is how much can you survive, and they get caught up by a group of these hillbillies or whatever, these mutant freaks or whatever the hell it is. And I'm not a person that's into hillbilly genre. Like, I only like the Hills Have Eyes remake. Like, I can't really get into the sort of that genre of, maybe I just haven't been led directly to a good one, but dope. It's great. Endurance by J.A. Conrath / Jack Kilborn, same guy. Honorable mentions, and this is with, I'm telling you to be very careful because these are grotesque novels and they're offensive novels. But that's like if you've got the stomach for them. There's this writer named Ed Lee. I don't know these people's political backgrounds, So I don't know. I don't know if they're into some weird shit. I don't look at that, and if it is, I'm like, oh shit. Well, sorry, but Ed Lee, who did this novel called The Big Head, I don't know these people. I'm just assuming. I can't tell what the fuck these people are into, but The Big Head is a really fucked up book. And I would suggest anybody who wants to start out reading fucked up books, they could read that. And obviously Bret Easton Ellis, American Psycho. Um, and for a very funny honorable mention, this book that's really bad, but it's it's fucking funny because how bad it is. But it's like super gory and goofy. And I think they're called the A Glimpse into Hell series, and it's just oh man, those are horrible. But I can't stop reading them.
Favorite horror book, not by Stephen King, Books of Blood by Clive Barker. Really good stories in there. And I actually haven't read all the volumes, but from what I have read, they're great.
Favorite fire stunt in a horror movie? This is rough because I don't remember really horror stunts in horror movies for some reason. Like, I'm sure I've seen Jason on Fire, and I'm sure like Carrie has some great horror stunts in it. But obviously, I would say The Burning, which is the guy burning in the very beginning of the film, which is very fun. So I'm sorry I don't have anything much more longer than that to explain.
Favorite fire stunt in a movie, and I had a lot of trouble. I think it's the scene from Hereditary, just because it's like such an intense scene. But also, The Thing is loaded with fucking great scenes, and also in Child's Play, the first one. So I don't know, but yeah, Hereditary.
Or a movie that you feel like you're the only one that enjoys, I've got to say The Gate. I don't know many people that talk about that movie, but The Gate, with Stephen Dorff as a kid, really good movie. And I think people treat that movie like it's a child horror film, but I'll tell you this, I saw that as a kid and it scared the holy shit out of me. It's a great movie. I love that movie. I feel like it should get much more love than it does get. It's a great movie. Just watch The Gate, the original. It's great.
Horror movie, I feel like I'm the only one who enjoys it, and I can't really think of much because I am lucky that I have a lot of friends who have really stupid taste like me.
Coolest looking horror creature, but it could never been human. I gotta say, the beast from The Ritual. I was like absolutely impressed at how that. It has to be CG. I don't think they have money to make a puppet out of that shit. But it's like this weird sort of deer / man thing. I don't think it was a human, but it looks like I don't know what it is, but it has these big it has a big rack of horns on its head. It's so fucking cool. So The Ritual, that's a great monster in that movie. Really good movie.
Coolest looking horror creature that wasn't a human. Um, and I was tied between the xenomorph queen from Aliens or that sea creature thing from The Host.
A horror movie you didn't expect to like and really ended up enjoying. But I will say Sleep Tight, because I'm not really into stalker films. It sort of bores me. I lean more towards, slashers and monsters and stuff like that. But Sleep Tight is a very disturbing movie about this guy who drugs this woman because he has no life of his own, and he just likes to sleep next to her, and you just see him completely destroy this woman's life, and it's a really disturbing, dark movie. It's fucked up, but it's good. But man, that's a disturbing movie.
A horror movie I didn't expect to like and ended up enjoying. I said The Ninth Gate because actually, as a kid, I watched it with my friends, and I think we're just like stupid or something. We didn't understand it. We were making fun of it. And then I watched it recently, and it's actually pretty good.
Most memorable horror ending, and this is probably problematic for a lot of people, but I did like They Live, and I'm sure it's very problematic for the reason why it is. Just at the very end, there's a woman who's sleeping with an alien, and when I guess the hypnosis ray gets off of everybody, and this woman actually sees that she's been sleeping with this alien man. I'm sure, I'm sure people would even say that it's fucking it's probably very racist, because I assume it's a white guy playing an alien who's playing an African American guy, and then he just says, "Hey baby, what's wrong?" But I don't know. When I saw it, to me, it was the funniest fucking thing I ever saw, because it's like, this is a very serious movie, right? And it's like everybody's being hypnotized, but at the very end they just ended on a joke like that. There's nothing could be better than that. I love that shit when it's just like and I can't, like, every time that movie ends I gotta watch that scene. It's just because it's so stupid, but it's fantastic.
Most memorable ending, and I had to go with the classic Sleepaway Camp.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody who is listening to the show. If you're a new listener, it'd be great if you hit that subscribe button. Once again, thank you to Lady Shasha from What Did I Just Watch? And these names are the people that we are going to tag for this video. So everybody, this has been the HorrorDeconstruction.